Wrapping up Summer Game Fest activities, we got a look at some of the upcoming games this year. We also got a look at Unreal Engine 6, and based off what we saw, it got me thinking about next generation gaming. Will the consoles come out soon, and if they do, are they worth buying at launch? I'd like to take the time to dive deeper into this topic and share my thoughts. Howdy hello, and welcome to AlphaPhenomenon Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, Phat Love, and I'll be taking you on a journey through gaming with reviews, news, and commentary. For those who don't know, I am part of the PlayStation and Nintendo ecosystem of gaming, and I have been with these companies' consoles for over a decade. I have seen all the big gaming showcases in that time, as far back as G4 announcements and E3 presentations. Now, we have Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, Gamescom, and Game Awards, but I've been around the block. I remember when single-player games were the main focus of developers, and couch co-op was the only multiplayer option you had to play with a buddy. Not only does that age-gate me as a millennial who's likely close to having a midlife crisis, it also gives me some wisdom and insight as a spectator. During this year's Summer Game Fest, we finally got the announcement that Call of Duty is current generation only. We also got several announced games following suit and coming exclusively to this generation of consoles. They are finally phasing out the previous PlayStation and Xbox consoles, and likely due to this, I have never seen more beautiful game reveals than I did this year. Even on the Switch 2, during their direct, the games looked amazing, and these developers were cooking. Now sure, there are still groups of people making games for last-gen consoles, but it's finally the minority of developers. This shift opens up the conversation about the next generation of consoles. It also opens a conversation about cost versus day one purchases. No matter what, companies like IGN will cover the news and have articles discussing what's next, but we no longer live on a time where you can go to Walmart or Best Buy and see a demo set up that will put a crick in your neck if you know, you know. But getting hands-on before buying has never been more critical. Then I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of AI technology. I think it's useful in the medical field, and there are practical uses for its application in other spaces. But when I think about AI art or AI actors, AI creating songs or writing novels, I don't think that's the best place for its use. That being said, there is no going back, and there is no undo button. We have to get with the times. The public has access to AI, and with it, creation tools have evolved. It's baked into your web browser, your editing software, and your phone updates? Well, they now have AI features built in at no cost. I can't speak for Nintendo, but the next generation PlayStation and Xbox will both have built-in AI tools to simplify the UI, transition between applications, and there are likely even features to help look up trophies or achievement videos if you're stuck on a game. That last one already being built into certain first-party PlayStation games. With the state of the economy and the direction we're going, next generation is already here. During the tail end of Summer Game Fest, we got a presentation about Unreal Engine 6. If you're like me and the technical jargon is far over your head, there's an IGN video breaking it down, which is where I went. In this presentation, we saw how the new Unreal Engine 6 will evolve creation tools using AI and allowing development times to improve so larger scale games can release sooner. They also stated that UE6 won't be in the hands of developers until 2028, which tells me we won't see the true potential of this until next generation consoles. And you know what? That is fine. I am A-okay with that because we barely got to see this generation of consoles doing their best. If I were to speculate, I'd say that 2027 is going to be a massive year for gaming. The toolkits are finally unlocked, and developers can start using current gen to its full potential. The game reveals we're getting now are only a taste of what's to come. And I'd wager The new reveals at Gamescom and the Game Awards later this year might just be the best we've seen yet. Just think of all the games we know about but haven't seen. Elder Scrolls 6 and Naughty Dog's next game Intergalactic, plus whatever they're cooking up over at Capcom, EA, and Ubisoft. I definitely see some big reveals in the next 6 months, and I can only assume toolkits for the next generation consoles will be in developer hands by the end of next year if they're not already. Which brings me back to the main conversation: do we need next generation consoles anytime soon? The short answer for me is no. Absolutely not, in fact. I'm as excited as the next person for a shiny new toy to play games on, but seeing developers finally drop last gen in 2026 is a sign that we don't need anything new yet. If this becomes the largest gap between console cycles, I'm honestly alright with that. AI is already being integrated into what we have now, and those kits provide phenomenal games that we can play on current generation. Heck, Unreal Engine 6 won't be out until 2028, and the upcoming UE 5.8 will have more than enough capacity to continue making truly cinematic experiences. I honestly feel like we're at the limit before Uncanny Valley sets in, so I feel like we've reached a comfort height, and perhaps this is where the ceiling should be. Not to mention the inevitable cost of said console, the power it would have to harness to surpass current generation, including the Pro versions of our existing consoles, and justify an upgrade would easily be $1,000, and that's not a cost someone should pay without planning. $1,000 is basically 2 weeks' pay for most Americans, and we all know rent, bills, food, and subscriptions take that before we can even write it on paper to budget. So the conversation of a luxury purchase like a next generation console almost feels silly. Yet this hobby, gaming, excites me, and likely you too if you're listening to my podcast. The joy of experiencing Geralt slice through monsters and then stopping at a bar to play Gwent. Exploring the post-apocalyptic world of New Horizon and the mechanical beasts therein. Racing through the streets in Need for Speed, The Crew, Forza, or whatever racing game it is. Or maybe you're like me and you play any first-person shooter just to get a taste of war without consequence. I buy every Call of Duty and try any free FPS that piques my interest, like Fragpunk, which has been a lot of fun since launch. At the end of the day, we'll always have a next generation console on the horizon. But the grass isn't always greener, and fear of missing out has made me buy some stupid games in the pursuit of staying relevant to a community that doesn't even know I exist. Maybe it's my 32 years saying this, but I don't really care what's relevant as much as I care about what's fun for me to play. I have a hard drive plugged into my PlayStation with PlayStation 4 games that I have not touched yet. When does it stop? Do we ever slow down to enjoy what we have? Or is it always go, 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 and circle back maybe? The ride is fast and fun, but optional. I choose to step off, and I chose that last year, and in that last year's time, I've played some wonderful games that I almost left behind. Based on this month's Summer Game Fest, there are over 20 games I personally want to buy. And if you average 50 hours per game, that's 1,000 hours or over 41 days for just gaming in the next 6 to 12 months. It is diabolical for an industry to expect me to have that level of free time outside family, work, and other competing hobbies. No wonder gaming gets a bad stereotype. But let's cut through the noise and shut down the machine. This is our hobby. Let's enjoy it on our time. The conversation of next generation maybe isn't as existential as I'm making it out to be, but my opinion remains the same. I'm going to be excited for next generation And the games are going to be so exciting and they will entice me. But I can finish my backlog for my PlayStation 4. And why wouldn't I before I jump into PlayStation 6? You can't make it make sense. There have already been games I've decided to let fall through the cracks. Time-gated experiences that won't hit the same anymore. The remaster has become a genre all on its own due to this and is thriving on people repurchasing a game with slightly better graphics and performance. We are the monkey and we're paying them for us to dance. In a world where I already have so much of my time stolen, let's choose to enjoy the times we decide to give to gaming and bring back what made us fall in love when we were kids. It wasn't the trophy hunting or the deluxe edition content. It was the thrill of defeating a hard boss and knowing you did that. Or the feeling of connection with your friends hopping on Call of Duty on a Friday night for Search and Destroy. It was the memories that cemented gaming as a hobby that brought you the simplest and purest form of joy. Let's remember that as we go into next generation. Buy it because you want it, not because you need it. The race is not real. Let's get back to that pure, childlike wonder and remember the next generation is just a chance to create moments like that with our children and nephews or nieces while remembering we can do that right now with current generation too. And those next generation moments will come when it's the right time. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I'd love to continue this conversation down in the comments. What's your take on next generation consoles? What franchise or game would tempt you to jump if it was exclusive? Leave your comments on Spotify and YouTube, and let's chat. Until next time, this is Phat Love. Peace. That's all I've got to say. If you played it, let me know what you thought. Hit me up on YouTube or leave a comment on Spotify. Thanks for listening. I'm Phat Love, and this has been AlphaPhenomenon Gaming Podcast. Peace.